Hi there, everybody. This is Erica Del Signore, and I am here to introduce a very special person. Alton, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me, Erica?
I can hear you.
Awesome.
Okay. So I'm going to introduce Alton Jones is an incredible person. I don't know if I've ever met anyone quite like him. Because he he has spent a lifetime basically taking care of everybody here in the United States by being a police officer. So for 30 years in a pretty tough town of Los Angeles, he has been fighting crime, dodging bullets, chasing criminals down alleyways, all of the excitement that you can imagine. He has gone through it, and it's a tough life, but I got to say, I have not met someone with a better outlook than Alton Jones. He has always got a smile on his face, a positive word to say. He definitely lifts me up every day. I work very closely with him on the marketing side, and I just think what he has to teach you tonight is very special because Alton has taken his life of fighting crime and he has turned his hobby of buying houses, finding them, funding them, fixing them, and flipping them. He has turned that into a full-time $1 million business. His whole family works in the business, even his kids. And I think that what he's done is very, very special. And it's wonderful that you're choosing to share this with us tonight, Alton. I want to thank you so much, and I want to welcome you to your webinar.
Well, thank you so much, Erica. I really appreciate those kind and heartfelt words. It's taken a lot, and if you would have asked me about something like this 10 years ago, I would have never saw this stuff coming through. But I would have been doing something quite different, during these times that we're in, and being in law enforcement, so many friends and family members that I've known have struggled, and they just want to go do it for the purpose of service. It was never about making money as a police officer. I started off in the force very young. When I first became a law enforcement officer, I was 18. I was a reserve officer as a 18-year-old volunteer, and then I became full time when I turned 21. And as they say, the rest is history. And all the years go by, you blink your eye, all of a sudden you got 10 years on the job, and then you blink your eye again, you got a couple of kids, and so it's been a very joyful experience, and now we're flipping houses and running a multi-million-dollar business and doing that, and now we're teaching people how to do that. That's a really exciting thing.
Yeah,
So
I can't wait for you to share what you have to learn because I've listened to what you have to say and there are things I know that you probably heard this too that people that are professional house flippers already listen to your webinar and they pick up new things all the time and end up saving tens of hundreds of thousands of dollars just by avoiding some of the mistakes that you point out.
oh yeah, ask me how I know. Uh, I've experienced a lot of different types of good challenges that you learn from, and I try to let people know where all the landmines are so they can avoid all the mistakes that I've made as well as others that come before me have made. One of the great things about working with so many great people in this type of a business, and I've done various businesses. I've done from real estate to insurance to other products that they sell out there, because the main thing is I've always wanted to be somebody. I love serving people, but I really wanted to be somebody. I wanted to figure out how can the people where I was patrolling in Brentwood and Bel Air and Palisades, how could those people be so wealthy and live like they live? And then I go work South Central LA and Watts and areas that people need an armed guard to get to and from. How could those people live like that? And then and not that's not where I mean I've come from that humble beginnings back then when I was growing up, but there was another life that you could live if you only knew about it and then figure out a way how to get there and attach yourself to people who you want to be like. So the people you want to associate with is the person you want to become, and the books that you read will be the person that you will become. And it's been exciting. It's been a learning experience. I'm so excited to be able to share what I've learned from so many people who've taught me, so I can pay it forward and share with other people as well.
Absolutely. And I know that we've got a lot of folks online right now that are so excited to hear about what you have to say. I just want to mention to everybody that there will be an answer, excuse me, a question and answer portion of this webinar at the end. So if you have any questions, just write them down. Don't try to remember them through this whole thing because there's going to be a lot of information. Just write those questions down, and then at the end of the webinar, you can raise your hand and I can unmute you, or if you feel more comfortable just typing the question in, I can repeat your question to Alton and he'll answer every one. Am I right, Alton?
I'm ready. Awesome.
All right. Well, I can't wait to see this presentation that you've been
Yeah.
working.
I've been working on it all day, and I've changed a lot of things and added some things, and these are all the things that have changed over the last few months, a few years, and I'm trying to refine it, and so I want to get right into it. So the company I founded, after being in law enforcement so many years and going into real estate, from an agent standpoint, I want to. The phrase that caught me was rehabs to riches. I mean, I love rehabbing houses because one of the things my story was I watched the show Flip This House for years on television in the early 2007, 2008 time, when the market was, before it kind of fell out the bottom back then, but watching television show, trying to figure out what's going to be my next move, what I'm going to do to improve my life financially. And I've always been fond of real estate. As I was stating, going into houses in Brentwood, Bel Air, and Palisades, seeing those beautiful homes, and then I go into other areas where I grew up in South Central LA, and I see the kind of houses they have there, and I said, well, man, what's the difference between what that guy or that gal knew versus what I knew? And I wanted to learn. So watching that show Flip This House kind of set me on fire, and then that just kind of like lit the fuse. But I figured, well, you know what? I don't know nothing. I mean, I had years of experience in law enforcement, as a young street cop and working patrol. And what is a street cop working patrol pushing the black and white knew about real estate? Well, nothing that I found out. So I had to go find out what I needed to know. So I had to read certain books like Cash Flow Quadrant by Robert Kiyosaki and Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, and then other things about Think and Grow Rich, and try to get my mind ready to be able to receive the knowledge, the vast knowledge that was going to come to me. So fast forward, after watching those shows, I went and kind of sought some information from people who had these weekend, seminars that I kind of attended to try to learn. I wanted to learn because one thing I didn't have was I didn't have any money, nor did I have any credit, or I should say not good credit. So I don't know if you consider a 500 credit score good, bad, or ugly, but I think I was down past the ugly. But, you didn't have that. You worked hard, you did a good, day's worth, but your credit wasn't strong enough to buy diddly squat, and you didn't make enough money to make or save anything, and then you find yourself moonlighting security jobs, working for rich people, guarding and protecting those folks, but really for trading hours for dollars was not the way to do it. So I had to find out a better way. So I went out, learned this thing, and I created a company called Rehabs to Riches. Man, that was something unique. How do you can earn $100,000 on a house every deal? And imagine if you could just do 6 deals a year. And here's the deal, doing it part-time. Maybe not 6 deals. Let's say you just do 2 deals a year and you made $100,000. See, one thing we have in California, we have a very, very unique market. There's an old saying in real estate, location, location, location. Now, I don't know about Springfield, Missouri, and I don't know about St. Louis, but I can tell you what, here in Southern California, we got big dollar properties out here, and there's so much room for so many houses. All you got to do is drive up and down the 405 freeway or the 110 freeway or the 10 freeway, and you see nothing but houses for tens of miles away. And you can see them from the north, the south, the east, to west. There's houses everywhere. There's never a shortage of houses here in Southern California or even Northern California. So we're in a very unique market. So earning a part-time income in this business is very doable. So I'm going to get right into this next slide. So what I'm going to cover is where to get the money. Well, I can tell you one thing, you don't go to banks. Okay, you don't go to banks to get a loan for what we do as a business, nor do you need good credit. Because if you remember, I told you my credit wasn't that good. It's still not that good. It's probably coming up lately, but it is not as good as I like it to be. But guess what? It don't matter because cash is king. And if you can get cash to pay for things, or you can get great terms to pay for things, it really don't matter about your credit. So I never use any of my money. Okay, I use OPM, other people's money. I love that thing. You're going to find that I'm going to be talking about a lot of different ALTON-isms, is what I call. Those are little things that I've made up along the way of my experiences, and I just kind of put a name to it. So you're going to bear with me when I come up with some crazy phrase. I may try to explain it, what it really means, but I'll get to it. But it's okay. So what houses make the most money? You know, I target houses that are single family homes. I don't target apartment buildings. I don't target commercial lots and stuff like that. Now, people can do that. My technique and my strategies work for those type of properties as well. I just don't target them. I got plenty of houses out there to go work with without having to go do something completely on a different animal, even though my strategies work with those. How to find them and eliminate the competition. Folks, I'm going to show you how you can find a house that nobody else knows is for sale. And wouldn't it be nice? Because if you ever try to find a house that you want to buy and you put an offer in, if you ever bought a house and then that offer doesn't accept it, your offer doesn't get accepted because somebody else got that deal or made a higher offer than you or made a better offer than you. Well, how about finding a house that nobody knows is for sale? I'm going to teach you how to do that as well. You can eliminate any competition out there. The other thing is, maybe you don't know anything about repairs. So how to estimate repairs and why you'll never be correct, and it doesn't matter. Because at the end of the day, you don't have to be, you're not trying to be a contractor. You're not trying to be a handyman. You're not going to go out there, find a house and go figure out how you're going to paint it, carpet it, and hang drywall or put in flooring. That's not your job. Okay, so we're going to show you why estimated repairs, the fact that you may not be correct 100% of the time, and it doesn't matter. So the other thing we're going to cover are 3 hot tips for handling contractors. I don't know about you folks, but there's been people, and I've experienced nightmares going through dealing with contractors because they are, first of all, they think they're smarter than you, first of all, because they got a license, say they are a contractor, but really they get a license, they take a test, and they go hire some guy or gal that knows how to do the work, and they just kind of put a team of people together to do the work, and typically they pay them very little to nothing for getting the job done, and they just kind of run the operation. So contractors really don't know a whole lot, but it's always good to have a contractor, but you want to screen them well. The other thing is why most investors waste so much time and why you can easily make 6 figures in less than 15 hours a month. So, I mean, if you don't, I mean, today was a busy day for me. Most of my time, all I did was spend talking to people, just talking on the phone, you know, talking in the office, you know, shooting the, you know, talk about whatever my goals and dreams are, or what can I do to help somebody else. But it's very rare that I'm working on. I worked on. I got a deal today. I spoke to one of my agents today, sent me a deal, and sure, you know it. It's a great deal, and the people just want to give me the house and just create some terms without me coming up with a nickel. So I'm going to teach you that strategy, how somebody can give you a $700,000 house without a dime out of your pocket and be able to control that asset and turn around and do something with it and make millions on it. So that's huge. And that I probably spent maybe 30 minutes on the phone with her today. And that was it. That's about most work I did today other than working on this PowerPoint presentation. The other thing is why selling houses at the top prices, and it's easy, the easiest part of the business, and it doesn't take any time. Like I said, the person, my real estate agent, does all the work for me. When they either find a property for me, I like it, I see it, I make a contract, make an offer, I'm finishing the house, I fix it up with the contractor, the guy's work, and next thing you know, call the real estate agent up. Okay, we're ready to sell. Guess what? I have nothing to do with the process. It don't take my time to go make a phone call and say, okay, Mr. Real Estate Agent, the house is ready to go. Let's turn it over to you. Go let me know when we get ready to get a buyer or go to close escrow. So those are huge. And so at the end of this this presentation that you're having time to listen to, you're going to get away some free gifts. at the end. And one is a rehabber's checklist. That's and within probably 10 to 20 minutes, you can go through a rehabber's checklist and know what you're going to need and walk through a project and do an estimate repair form and walk through a house and know exactly what kind of repairs you're going to need. Maybe not down to the penny, because when you open up walls, you don't know what you're going to find now, but you can get a good gist of working knowledge of what it's going to take to repair a house when you walk into it. And the other thing is a FSBO. Well, we say, oh, what's a FSBO? Well, FSBO stands for for sale by owner. A for sale by owner script. And what that does is most people and most folks coming on board brand new, they say, I got a deal. Somebody call me, but I don't know what to say. So they don't have the words to say. And they start saying things they shouldn't be saying. And then they talk the seller who wanted to sell them the house, talk them out of selling the house to them. So they say too much and they lose the deal. That's not good, because you may be knowledgeable, you got some acquired knowledge, but talk less, listen more, and you'll find that that's going to work better than saying too much. So the question is, will you be selling something? Well, yep, I'm sure going to try. Okay, I'm conducting a live 3-day training event in LA, and it's coming up real soon. Matter of fact, next month. And I will do my best to convince you to come, because when you start seeing the kind of things and the kind of people, lives that we're changing out there, you're going to figure out, if I can make $100,000 or $200,000 a year part-time, maybe I should fire my boss. You should. I give you permission to do that. So who is Alton Jones? Well, like Erica stated before, I have over 30 years working with the LAPD. I was working full-time. First, I started off as a reserve officer. Well, I go back even further than that. I was an Explorer Scout at once upon a time in 1979, and then I became a reserve officer in 1985, and then became a full-time officer in 1987, and then I decided, you know what, I'm going to hang up my hat in 1999, May 3rd, 1999. I decided to stop doing it full-time and went back into the reserve program. Why? Because I got tired of dodging bullets, and believe me, I was dodging bullets. And maybe not every day, but you only need one time, maybe 2 times to get your mind right before you get your act together and decide, maybe I'll just hang up my hat and maybe I'll just not do this every day for a living. And there's a lot of great cops out there from California all the way to the East Coast. A lot of officers are being beat up and challenged. And you know what? They're out there because they're there. They love serving people. I don't know any officer I've ever met or worked with, not only in my department, but other departments across the country, that does it for the money. They never do it for the money. Obviously, they have to pay them to do it. It's a full-time job, but they love serving people. It takes a special person to get tapped on the shoulder and say, okay, you're going to be a police officer, you're going to be a sheriff deputy, you're going to be a state trooper, just like somebody is tapped on the shoulder to be ordained minister or a athlete or a special actress or actor. And so it takes a special kind of person to do that type of job or profession. So, other than people can get tired of taking abuse for people that you're trying to protect. Because, look at the guys in Dallas, those guys that were out there protecting those people who were protesting. I mean, they were doing the right to protest in this country, but at the same time, folks out there protecting those people's rights. Those officers out there got gunned down because you got some person that's, decided he has a different opinion about how things want to come out. But I digress. So we have to make sure that we go out there and support our local law enforcement, because you got to have, officers out there, male and female, protecting and serving people, because they got families, and so you're going to see, I'm always probably refer to something of my experience in law enforcement, because that's all I knew growing up from 18 years old, actually Explorer Scout at age 15 years old till, till today. I still go out every now and again as a reserve officer and protect my community that I serve. So I couldn't see myself retiring on minimal income. I love to try to help and get my fellow officers who are in there still, who want a way out, get them out of that job, that they can go have a life after their careers in law enforcement and fire departments as well. So one thing was, I was afraid, but hey man, let me tell you something. When I first started off in law enforcement, I was probably making somewhere about $48,000 a year. And my highest probably I made maybe $62,000, $65,000 a year. Well, on my first deal, I made over $56,000. And that only took me probably collectively maybe 20 hours. So 20 hours worth of work that I put in, and I made $56,548, and I tell you, what that worked out to be was about $2,827.40 an hour. Imagine. When was the last time you know somebody or yourself has made over $2,800 an hour and doing 20 hours of work? And that's how simple it is. So I couldn't believe it. Effectively, I've doubled my income without doubling my efforts. You know, I'm probably, after getting involved in this business and starting to see how you can leverage yourself through other people, I consider myself the laziest person out there. If I can, you know, work less and make more, that's a good thing, right? Why work more and make less? You know, so I can teach you how to earn more and do it in less time. You know, but you know what? Sometimes you got folks stuff to work saying, what do you mean? Leave this good government job? Well, how do you mean? You can't leave. What do you know about real estate? Matter of fact, you don't even have any money. So, of course, you know, when I told them I was going to buy houses at below market price and renovate them and then sell them for a higher price, they laughed. Because remember, I was a police car. I was a police guy. I was working in black and white. You know, what did I know about that? It had to be really impossible to do that. So, you know, the key thing was the dream stealers almost got me, folks, because if I would have bought into what they were saying, then I would buy their lifestyle. And today it's a different story because we run a seven-figure business, right? And some of those guys are still there pushing the black and white. Imagine that. I'm glad I didn't listen. So why rehab single-family homes in California? Well, the answer is to make more money on one house than most people make in a year. These are true examples of what we did in the last 12 months, okay? So here's the profits from our last 3 houses that we did. We had one house that we picked up in Hollywood, California, and these are net profit. So $870,000 on one deal. They had a house we tore down and built a duplex, and I'm going to share with you that as well. Had another house in Carson. You know, Carson, and you got to remember, Carson, when I bought this house in Carson, today, what's going on in Carson, they're going to be building a football stadium. So I wish I probably could have hung on to that a little longer, might have made more money. But at the end of the day, it only took me about 90 to 120 days to make $116,000. And I could tell you one thing, I'll probably spend less than 25 hours on that. You know, another house in Carson, $129,000. So here's an example of what we did. The first house that we picked up. Now, I'm not sure if some of you guys might be familiar with the Hancock Park area near Paramount Studios. And if you are, you're familiar with that area, you know, I bought this house about 1.5 years ago, maybe a little longer, about 2 years ago, because it took me 1.5 years to build a house out, for $570,000. You couldn't get a house over there. Matter of fact, you couldn't even get a dirt lot for $570,000 over there today. Matter of fact, you get a little 2-bedroom nothing house is going to cost you close to $900,000 to $1 million. So we picked up this house, and at the end of the day, we had about $1.1 million worth of construction costs. And you say, oh, that's a lot of money. Construction costs $1.1 million? You put more than double in the house. Well, guess what, folks? I found this house, and because of the research that I showed you how to do, we evaluated this house and said, wow, this house was on a R3 lot, which is residential zone R3, which means that you could build multiple families on this house. Well, it was a single family house, one little bitty 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom, nothing house, single story. And because of the zoning of it, and you understand about zoning because we teach you that at our course, you learn because of that reason, we were able to put $1.1 million to turn it into a duplex. We effectively, in 18 months, turned that house around and sold it for $2.55 million and making a profit of $870,000. And not a dime of that money came out of my pocket other than the $10 that I had to put up. $10, not $10,000, not $1,000, not $100,000, but $10 held that house under contract so that we can go ahead and do these kind of things to it. So from the photos that you can see, you can probably barely see the house with all the shrubbery, the trees, and the bushes. You can see a little bit over there on the top left corner, but if you take a frontal look of it, you really can't see the house. And then once we cleared the brush area with the trees that we took down, you can see the house that we were working with. It had a retaining wall, had a small driveway. Matter of fact, it was a shared driveway with another property, and a little tiny bungalow-style house. And with all this stuff in the backyard was just really kind of put together. And as we were tearing this house down, you know, we realized what our worth was going to be if we just take the house straight up and build it build a duplex because the lot was very small. It was a 42 by 96 lot, which is a 3,900 square foot lot. So we tore the house down and we decided to do the construction, hire a contractor, bring them in there, and do all the work that we needed to do in 18 months. And this was effectively how it turned out. Yeah, I said wow too. And some of you guys are saying, wow, man, this is crazy. That's unbelievable. This is a side-by-side duplex that's a 3-bedroom and 4-bath house on each side. Each side. Effectively, the house was at one point was 1,700 square feet, the entire house. This house that we built out there turned out to be 2,450 square feet each unit. So over 4,900 square feet for the whole structure, and you got 1 floor, 2 floor, 3 floor, and a roof deck. And you can see inside the house, and you can see on your roof, you have a beautiful view of the Hollywood sign. If you can see in the top bottom right-hand corner, you can see barely make out the Hollywood sign there, and the Griffith Park Observatory on the far right as well. But it got unbelievable views from a house that was in between 2 other houses that were actually kind of towering over this house. You couldn't barely see it, to now being the tallest building on the block, and being able to have this. Imagine living in one side and renting out the other, and each unit rented out for over $7,500 a month. So if a person came in there and bought it and rented it out, they can effectively cash flow better than they would do in some typical savings account. So that was an exciting project, but that's an aberration because that's not the everyday project that we do. This one I'm showing you right now on Carson on 163rd Street, right next door to Compton. Literally, you could walk across the street and be in Compton. This house, single-story house, it was 4-bedroom and 2-bath, and they had chopped it up before, you know, we even bought it. So originally it was 4 bedrooms, but they broke it out to being a 3-bedroom. I guess it was more functional. But I was able to create some great terms with the seller, who owed very little on the money. They only had a trust deed of $28,000 they owed on it. So I agreed to buy the property from him for $300,000, and I created a seller carryback note. These are the things that I teach you. These are the strategies, these super secret strategies that nobody wants you to know. I didn't go to some local regional bank. I didn't go to some commercial bank. You know, I went to the seller and asked for what I want. The seller was willing to work with me, and I was showing him the vision of what the possibilities he could do. As long as the seller was getting what they want, we can in turn get what we want, and then the person who was going to buy the house was going to get a beautiful house, as you're going to see shortly. They were going to get what they want. So, you know, we created a note with 0 interest and 0 payments for $272,000 to the seller. We took over his first loan, which was only $28,000. We ended up paying that per month. It was like $600 a month. And then we turned around and put $88,000 worth of costs into rehabilitating the house. The closing cost, once we went to go sell it, was $26,000. And then we had a buyer that actually paid $1,000 above our asking price. Okay? So, and I had a real estate agent that told me, no, you could never sell this house for more than $500,000. I says, well, my intuitions tell me I could sell for more. And I got a great looking house. No. So I fired him and got somebody else that was going to work with me that saw my vision. And because they saw my vision, we were able to turn around and make a $115,000 profit. Here's what the house looked like before. Now imagine, this is pretty much like everybody in the community every day. They're working hard, they're living right. They maybe have an extra property that they're renting out, but they're tired of being a landlord because the tenant's not paying them, you know, the rent, and then they have to suffer because they have to pay the mortgage because the tenant's not paying them. And the house was being, you know, dilapidated. You know, it was being, you know, worn out. It was getting abused. So we looked at this house and says, we got good structure, good bones. I didn't beat up the house. I gave the seller a fair price and treated him right, treated him fair, share with him the vision, because people don't care about how much you know until they know how much you care. That's one of my isms. I stole that from somebody else who stole it from somebody else. If you want to steal it from me, all you got to do is give me credit publicly one time, and then that's yours. So remember, it's the golden rule. Do unto others that you want others to do unto you. People don't care about how much you know until they know how much you care. And this gentleman saw what we did in the end. That was going to be truly amazing to him and his family. They wanted us to treat the house right. the first picture you can see at the top was the existing bathroom before how it looked. And then we turn it to the right, and you can see how we turn that bathroom completely around to make it look better. And then you can see at the bottom, the landscape before, it was a lot of trees, it was overgrowth, it was not maintained right. And because of the time we're in California, we're a drought-tolerant society, we couldn't just put a whole bunch of grass in there because we have to be drought-tolerant. And we do things with permits and inspections. And, you know, most cities don't want you to go use a lot of water. They don't want you using up all the resources. So you have to kind of go through a process of being able to figure out what can you do that's going to conserve energy and things of that nature, be more friendly to the environment. And that's what we did. We came up with an idea. We used decomposed granite on the ground that you see there. We used concrete and pebble stones and some other kind of things that's going to make it look appealing, but not that's still going to be friendly to the environment. And as you see inside, see, I have a saying, folks, it is one of my isms, is that if you open up the house, people will open up their wallet. Okay? Remember, if they open up their house, they open up their wallet, you make more money, because you can see before how it was dark, it was dingy, it was crowded, it was compartmentalized, and we open it up to give it a much airier feel. So imagine, folks, flipping a few homes in a year can earn you $500,000. And working part-time, 10 hours or less or 15 hours or less, you can do it the way I do it, okay? Because when I show you how to do it, now, is it going to be easy? Heck no. Matter of fact, no way. It's going to be some of the hardest work you're going to do in the shortest period of time, but all you got to do is go out there and gut it out for a little while until you are done. But imagine how much more you could earn if you decided to do real estate on a full-time basis. I'm not talking about going out listing and selling properties and you got to get a license to be a real estate agent. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about going out there, seeing all these houses, or rather on Craigslist, they're for sale by owner signs sticking out there that you passing by, overgrown grass. Imagine that you could make $1 million. I would have never thought working patrol, pushing the black and white, handling a 415 crazy person with a knife in an alley somewhere one day, and then all of us in the rain too, at night, working graveyards, that today I'd be making over $1 million a year, okay? I was a guy who was a D student, okay? I struggled with academics. I had to read things over and over and over again just to understand it, to get the comprehension down. Some of you folks on the phone have A+ degrees and was valedictorian, was cum laude, or whatever the hell it's called, but I can tell you what, that wasn't me. I would outwork anybody around me, and I would teach other people how to outwork other people around you and go out there and get after it. So, but that's what we did. It was only a short period of time. If you had to go out there for the next 36 months, what you got to lose? Even if I'm half wrong and you don't make $1 million, but you make $500,000 a year, I don't think that's bad. So imagine what you can do with the income of over $1 million a year. Well, could you pay off some debt, like credit cards, bills? Could you buy your dream home in some of the best neighborhoods? How about send your kids to the finest schools without worrying about student debt? You know? How about taking vacations? Matter of fact, I took my family recently. We went to a Vegas trip during, we've never been to Vegas. We've been to Vegas many times, but never on New Year's. We wanted to be able to celebrate New Year's. Well, how many people can just say, I can just get in the car, go to Vegas and spend time for 4 or 5 days where everybody else is at work, and spend not only just New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, but days after that? Because when everybody trying to get back to work or before, right after New Year's Day, I was still out. But guess what? My business was still running. So, you know, that's the kind of things you can do. Take those type of vacations. You know, you can earn the prestige of your friends and families and colleagues and have more time on your hands to spend with people you love, doing the things you love to do. So there are 4 steps to flipping a house, because I'm sure you want to know, well, what's just get to the point. Find, fund, fix, and flip it. That's what you have to do. If all you did was those 4 steps, you got $1 million business. Now, finding deals. There are 2 ways, or 2 types of ways I use to find deals. One is institutionally owned. That's REOs. Have you ever heard the expression REO? REO stands for real estate owned. That means the house has already been foreclosed and taken back by the bank. People already put out the house. The bank's trying to sell it as a foreclosure. And then there are those Other properties I like even more so are the individually owned houses, or what I call are the FSBOs, a for sale by owner. I use both because I figured, why not? I mean, if someone's going to bring me, like today, a friend brought me a great listing. You know, nobody knows about it. It's a pocket listing because she understands that I'm the guy that's going to get the job done. I'm not going to waste any time. If I decide I'm going to buy something, it's getting bought. And they're going to make their commission, and I'm going to fix a house, we're going to sell it, and they're going to make a commission again. So how about get paid twice with me as a real estate agent on every deal that you send me? So I use those techniques. But here's the kicker. The big secret, while most investors out there, and I know you've seen there are investors out there trying to figure this thing out, most investors are fighting over the same REOs or the same properties to sell, but I'm secretly and silently buying FSBOs, the for sale by owners that no one else knows about. Well, man, how do you know? How do you know about those things that nobody knows? Let me show you. Because why? The better deals, the owner finance, and there's no competition. Here's how I do it, folks. You see that yellow letter there? The yellowletterlady.com is my kit and caboodle. This lady does everything I need to do. See, I told you I was a lazy person. I become lazy. I don't want to write letters. I don't want to handwrite this. I don't want to seal envelopes. I call her up or send her, go on her website and say, I need 1,000 letters. I need 1,500 letters, you know, and I want them to go to these addresses. And she'll set me up, send me a box, and I will mail out those letters. And you can see, what do I say? Hi, my name is John, or, you know, whatever my name is. My wife Donna and I like to buy your house at 123 Maple Street. Please call me at blank, 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 blank. Thanks, Donna. That's it. I don't put no website. I don't put no business card. I don't put no smiley face. That's the letter that goes out. They get my letter. They open it up. If they're a motivated seller, they realize, hey, maybe I do want to sell that house. You know what? I inherit that house from Uncle Willie. Maybe I do want to sell that house. Maybe I'm tired of being a landlord. Maybe I just want to retire and go to Tahiti. And I just don't want to deal with the house anymore. Maybe I'll call this guy named Alton Jones. Matter of fact, somebody called me tonight through my service that I'm going to tell you about, and they want to sell a house. Who do I mail to? I mail to out-of-state owners. Why? Because they don't live in the house. And guess what? They're not emotionally attached to the house if they don't live in it, right? Right. So, also foreclosures, vacant, ugly houses, and a couple of other strategies I use that I'll disclose to my clients. And I mail about 200 of these deals a week. Sometimes I'll mail 300 a week, depending on what mood I'm in. But guess what? I don't mail them. Somebody in my office mail them. I remember I told you I'm lazy. I don't want to do all that work. I don't want to do what they call as the MWAs. Now write this down. MWA, minimum wage activity. I learned that from one of my mentors named Robin Thompson. And she's one of the queen of rehab. She taught me everything I know about rehabbing houses, but I learned from one of my other mentors on how to run a business, a full business by Ron LeGrand. So, and I'll mention him again later on down the line. So, the screening part, this is important. So when I go out there and send these letters, it's like, well, who's gonna answer the phone when all these people start calling me? You gonna mail out 200 a week? I'm too busy. I got a full-time job. I can't answer it. I'm at a birthday party. I'm at a wedding. I'm at a quinceañera. I can't answer the phone. I'm busy. Great. There's a thing called Pat Live. Pat Live works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, even holidays, Christmas. If you call Pat Live at 4 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, they will answer the call and take a message and have a script to use to be able to take care of that person. Now, there are also sellers that are called by my virtual assistant. And what they do, the virtual assistant collects all the facts. So if you want to figure out, well, who's going to call these people back if they call me? Well, you can have your VA call, or you can call. And if you call, you'll have a script of what to say and what to do when you call them. So you can go to ALTON's VA to figure out how does that work. So, but if you just made a few calls, that the people who, once they've gotten screened, so imagine somebody calls me from Pat Live and says, what makes you think I want to sell my house? Or take me off your list, or I don't want to sell my house. Do I need to call them back? No, I just take the address information that they left and I'll scratch them off the list and then I won't call them back. So I work about 90 minutes a week on something like that, or I'll have one of my people work on that for about 90 minutes a week. All I'm trying to do is make decisions. So I buy REOs or real estate owns without leaving like today. I was looking at a property today through my real estate agent online. I didn't go see the house. And if I like the house, we make an offer. And, because they got pictures of the house. And all I do, if I like it and get accepted, send some money into escrow. Sometimes it's $10, sometimes it's $1,000, whatever I got to do to open up escrow. But guess what? I don't got to do anything to see the house unless I really want to go see the house after I got an accepted offer. Sometimes I may see a house because I may drive by it because I'm going to the 7-Eleven to get my lotto ticket, right? Oh, you didn't think I played lotto too, right? Yeah, I play lotto. But I go out there and see a house. I may like the neighborhood. I like the house. Look at other houses around the neighborhood. Looks good to me. Maybe I'll put an offer in. So how do I fund them? Well, I'm not going to the local regional bank, so I use money from cash from private lenders. Anybody could be a private lender. Matter of fact, you on this phone line could be a private lender. If you have cash set aside, sitting and earning very little to no money on the interest that you're earning on your account, or you have money set aside from an inheritance, you could become a private lender. So I find people who have money that's sitting around doing nothing. They look at my business model. They say, well, I'd like to earn some money on my money. Could you help me with that? No problem. So I use people, not banks. Or sometimes I use seller financing, which is typically short term. And what that does, like the deal that you saw in Carson, I create a note out of thin air. So imagine if somebody owns a house free and clear, right? They don't own nothing on it. And they want to sell me the house. Like the guy today. He owns a house free and clear. He wants to sell the house to me for $700,000. But he's willing to carry the paper. Imagine that. The guy's willing to give me the house for $700,000 without putting any money up front, without paying any interest, and then turn around, create a private note, get my private lender to give me the money to fix the house up, and then turn around and sell it, and somewhere about $1 million, $2 million, $5 million, whatever it's going to be. But that's the difference. What you can do with seller financing. And then sometimes I like this other strategy, taking over debt subject to. You never heard of that, right? Imagine you got debt and you say, I can't afford this debt no more. Somebody take it off my hand. No problem. I'll take that debt off your hand. What's the asset worth? I'll figure out what the asset's worth. I'll take over that debt, take over those payments, and then they're gone off to take and worry about their own life. At such time in the future, I may pay that debt off, which means that if I'm taking over the debt, they're not responsible for that. What I've effectively done to that person that I took over the debt, that seller, I've given them debt relief. That is the biggest motivating factor to somebody who can't afford their mortgage no more, is that they get debt relief. Sometimes they may have a job relocation, they got to leave the state. Sometimes they may go through the divorce and no longer have two incomes to support that mortgage. So you come to the rescue with your cape and all, and you come in there and you take over that debt, relieving them of having to pay for two houses because they have to live in one, and then this one's going to be vacant, and they don't know nothing about being a landlord, and they can't trust tenants to take care of their property. So you come in there and show them your plan, and you're able to take over that debt subject to and acquire that property, and or you can use a combination of both. I love using both. That's what I did on the property in Carson that you saw with the pictures where we opened up the house. So I don't guarantee debt. Credit score is irrelevant. Nobody's asking. I've never had somebody ask me about my credit score, about buying the ghetto house in Watts or a house in Brentwood or Hollywood. They don't ask about my credit. They didn't care. They care about one thing: selling the house, getting somebody who's the right person with a vision that can do what they say they're going to do. Act like a mature, grown-up adult. Make no payments in some cases. Pay no points, no fees, no application. I've never filled out an application, to these sellers. All I did was fill out a contract, an agreement. We agreed. We go to escrow. Boom, 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 done. I can borrow more money than I need and close in a few days and have more funds available that I can use. That if I over budget on the project and then I come in under budget, right? Then there's money left over. Guess who keeps the money? Not me. No, HIP University, HIP National Bank. That's called HIP National Bank. Some of you guys didn't get that, but you will. How am I doing on time, Erica?
Well, you're doing well. You've got
Okay, good.
45 minutes, 50,
No.
40.
Okay. So now I almost decided not to do the business because I didn't know where to get the money. So I quickly learned that there's a lot more money chasing the deals. So if all I had to do was go find the dadgum deals, the money would follow. I'm like, well, that's genius. I can do that. See, folks, it's okay to copycat if you copy the right cat. And I found a bunch of cats that were doing better than I was doing and had a system. I just copied what they were doing because I figured if their pal is bigger than my pile, then I need to follow what they were doing. I didn't want to listen to broke people because broke people are too busy being broke and complaining about everything. So if you got somebody around you that's broke, get away from them. Go find some new people. Find some people with some daggum money. Find somebody with some passion and a vision and a dream, and you latch yourself onto them, and they're going to take you to the promised land where you want to be. So here's a good way of finding money out there, folks. This is an elevator speech that won't take you long to say. Do you have an IRA? That's an individual retirement account. Whether you know what an IRA is or not, somebody with an IRA is going to know what it is. So an IRA, individual retirement account. So do you have an IRA or other investment capital not getting a high rate of return safely? If you ask that question, the one thing you do after you say safely is shut up. That's the silence you want to hear, because they're going to answer. Either they're going to say yes, no, or I think so. Doesn't matter. Your thing is you don't want to come back and say something after you said that. You want to wait for an answer. I learned that in one of the sales courses I took, because you can be too busy talking and you miss the boat. But Alton, contracts scared me. Contractors scare me. Well, guess what? You don't have to know anything about repair costs or anything like that, because they scared me too. But I didn't have to let it stop me, because being a police officer, you got to be kind of asymmetric, outgoing. You got to be able to do those things. But there's a lot of people on this call, there's a bunch of them that are introverts. They're not going out there leading from the front. They're not taking aggressive action on it. But you know what? I look at this thing like my business, my life depends on it. My family life's dependent on it. And part of my training is we're going to have my contractors in class. We're going to show you how to know if their bids are too high, how to control them with an iron fist. Okay, I love that. I have another saying too, and otherwise keep them from getting screwed. This will keep you from getting screwed, guaranteed. Is that you stay ahead of work and behind on payments. Stay ahead of work and behind on payments, because what you do is you pay contractors on a progressive payment schedule, which means that you pay for the work that was done and completed and passed inspection versus, oh, well, you know what, my guys need to get paid today, but did you finish the work? No, we still got more to do. Well, let me know when you're done, because I got this check burning a hole in my pocket. I'd love to give it to you, but you got to finish the work. Don't let some contractor, screw you into thinking or creating a word game to get you to pay them a check for work that they haven't done. So, and we're going to have more of that in the class. So, learning repair costs from the experts, where we have to teach, we'll have time to teach in the class on with those experts and going over that. See, we're going to get on a bus and we're going to visit some rehabs that are currently in progress. And folks, the last one we did, man, was amazing. We saw some 4 great properties, from the ugliest, stinkiest, dirty looking house, and to the end we saw the midst of them, in the middle of rehabbing them, and to the end where the house was finished and completed and staged and ready to go. And those are the kind of houses that we look at, because sometimes you got to touch it, feel it, and see it before you can realize it. Some people can't. They have to have that vision to be able to touch it, feel it, and see it. Not everyone can do it the same way. But once you get on that bus and you start seeing, you start taking notes, you start walking through it, I'm going to challenge you to go through it the way that any individual has gone through it brand new. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to underestimate. You're going to overestimate. You're going to have all kind of ideas of what you think. But the class is preparing you for being able to do that. We got 3 hot tips for handling contractors. First of all bids are negotiable, and most of them are going to be overpriced. So if you don't know repair costs, you're going to be a sitting duck. So that's why it's important to understand, even though you may be wrong and you're not going to be 100% on your repair estimation that I said earlier, but if you don't know nothing about anything, you don't know how much a window costs or a door frame or a faucet, they're going to see you like, oh yeah, we got this person. And you don't want that to be the person. And that's why when I take you out on what I call as the ride along, on the bus, you're going to see why it's important that you understand what things cost. Remember, folks, you ain't going to live in this house. You ain't going to have Christmas dinner. You ain't going to have Thanksgiving. It's a business. It's a tool. So you don't want to fall in love emotionally with the house. You want to fall in logically with the house. If it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. I stole that from somebody too. So you find I'll steal a lot of stuff from people who have these good sayings, but they work. They get my point across. And here's another thing, number two. Never signing the contract without having a completion date or a late penalty imposed. This by itself will keep the contractor honest. So rather you know nothing about repairs or things, the contract, if you have a start date and you have a completion date and you got a late penalty in there, that's all you need, folks. Because they can't create a word game to try to get me to extend my contract date without them paying me a penalty. Well, you say, oh, well, what's the penalty? Well, it's up to you. Minimum $100 a day. I like $500 a day. So if you don't have a penalty, how motivated are they going to be to completing the project? They're not going to be too motivated. $100, well, $100 is okay. But what if you said it's going to cost you $500 a day if you don't finish this house by the completion date? And every day you go over the date, $500. So if you're going to complete this 5 days later, you just do the math. And so they get their minds right. They understand you mean business, okay? Because you're going to hold back a good percentage, somewhere around 25% holdback. And you're going to take that 25% penalty, 25% holdback, and you're going to subtract your 5 days of $500 out of that money. So when you pay them off, once the job is done and completed and signed off, that's how you keep yourself safe, okay? The other thing is never release the final draw, which is that 25% I talked about, until the job is 100% done and you have the contractor's releases from him or her and their subcontractors. Because believe it or not, the contractor sometimes hires a subcontractor. Here's an example. You may have a general contractor that hires a masonry contractor to come in and pour concrete. And the concrete guy didn't get paid from the contractor, general contractor, and now he's looking at you. So you want to make sure if the contractor hires another contractor, which is a subcontractor, that subcontractor not only got paid, but you got a release from them saying that they got paid. Because the worst thing you can have is at the end of your project that these little things come up and you got a mechanics lien on your project that you've already paid the contractor off, and he hadn't paid the people he was supposed to pay, and they're coming after you, and you've already paid this money, and this is going to be a problem to have. So you want to get those releases signed off and signed off by the city for your final walkthrough before you release any final draw payment. So the good news, if necessary repairs correctly, will not make or break your deal. You're going to probably always be wrong in most cases, depending on your deal. But the good thing is, if you make the offer right and you have enough room in there, your offer is your safety net. Because we're going to teach you how to build in somewhere between 30 to 35% profit margin in there, so that you don't have to worry about if you were off on your repairs a little bit. It ain't going to be about that much more, 10% more, anything like that. So we want to keep you safe, and that's okay. So, smart moves, getting repair estimates before you close. This is vital, folks. So if you're thinking about buying a property and you've not done any repair estimates before you close escrow, what if the price of the property you bought or you try to buy has issues with mold or asbestos? And that asbestos removal is so severe, it could cost you 10 grand to do that. Well, did you budget an extra $10,000 in your estimate repairs? If you didn't, it's going to be tough. So you want to avoid those kind of things before you close escrow, because if you have to cancel escrow because you found something that the seller didn't tell you that was very severe and you got to back out of that contract, at least you don't have a lot of money or any money in the deal and you can get out of that contract. So we want to make sure we keep you safe. Also, if you have to, it's okay to get a property inspection. I do, to ensure that all issues are fixed. Because guess what? When you go sell the house to an end buyer, right, and you got everything fixed up, or what you thought was needed to be fixed up, what if that end buyer does an inspection and they find something wrong that you missed? So those things you want to take care of early on before you get the house back on the market. So you want to remove all the risk and the guesswork in the deal. So here's the math, folks, because everything boils down to math. We all get emotional, excited about the real estate business, and everybody wants to make $1 million, $100,000, and this, that, and the other. And, I have an old saying, 20% of the people would do 80% of the work. 80% of the people out there are going to be seat warmers, hand clappers, and they're going to talk, but never do. So you want to be able to see. And our average rehab cost, this is what we do. Our average rehab cost is somewhere about 120,000. But we're doing big league stuff. You know, some people are probably half of that. Okay, average person is about half that. My average rehab cost time is about 3 to 4 months, somewhere around 120, 90 to 120 days. You know, those are quick, easy turnarounds. My big project you saw in Hollywood, the 3-story building, took 18 months. That's an aberration. But we're talking about not 100 grand, but we're talking about $800,000 profit. So you take a little longer. So if I exclude that deal out of there, I'm still averaging $123,000 for every deal that we do, that we rehab. Did I say every deal we do? Yeah, I said every deal we do is about 123,000. So how many deals can you do per year before you run out of money? So if you do 10 deals a year, you're making over $1 million. Is 10 working hard? Probably not. That's about maybe 1.5 to 2 a quarter. That's okay. You can do that. And the average time, holding time, is about 6 months, with the exception of the ones we do complete teardowns and new rebuilds. Those take longer because you got to wait for permits, planning, architectural drawings, and sometimes those things take a little longer than the average simple cookie cutter flips. I'm going to show you some major stuff, and I'm going to show you some simple, easy stuff. That's what we do. We want to, because some people on this call are experienced rehabbers, but they ain't never seen it the way we do it. And then there's some people who are just brand new, first time on this call, don't know nothing from nothing, and they just trying to figure it out and figure out which way they got to go first. And you know, we're talking to you too. So here are the steps to rehab it. First, you go to the house, make a list. Then you meet with the contractor and let him or her know, you know, what you missed. Okay, because they're gonna look at things that once they go out with there, they're gonna see things you may have missed. Maybe you didn't go under the house. I always recommend somebody got to go under the house, go under the house, but it don't have to be you, folks. You can't create a word game for me to go under the house myself. I got people. I pay people to go under the house so that I don't have to. See, if I went under the house, I wouldn't know what the heck to look for other than the black widows and the little rodents under there. And I don't want to deal with those folks, so I pay people to go out there who are not afraid to do that. That's what they do. And they're good people. But I just don't want to do it. So then the contractor gives you a bid. Well, guess what? Either you're going to accept the bid or you're going to negotiate the bid. I recommend that you negotiate the bid, because no matter what they say on their bid, you want to say one thing. Is that the best you can do? And then shut up. Because if they say $15,000, if that's the best you can do, and then they drop their price down to $13,000, you just saved yourself $2,000. So I recommend you use that line with anybody you're negotiating anything with except for me. Because that's the best I'm going to do. So if you relax and let the contractor do his or her job and check on them a couple of times, you know, and then when you go out there, you know, and this is a preference to me, you know, I like to let women choose colors. Men have their way of wanting to put man colors because they think it's a man cave. But at the end of the day, when somebody's coming to buy the house, it's typically going to be that woman that's going to come in there because either she's buying a house for herself or he's buying a house for her. Either way, it's her house. And we want to make sure she's happy with those colors. So we usually try to get ladies to pick colors for us because that's what we do. A lot of our realtors are ladies, so I kind of work with them to let me know. And then what I do is I list it with a real estate agent and have them sell it. Step out of the way. That's right. I list it with a real estate agent, even though I'm a real estate agent, have been since 2004, and I can do this real estate business better than anybody out there. But why trip over pennies on my way to dollars? I will allow my real estate agent to go out and collect a full commission that means that I have nothing to do with the process. Ain't that something? That means I'm not worried about, well, I can save 3% or I can save 2%. Hey, I'm looking at making tens of thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars. What am I caring about $20,000, $30,000 commission? I'm not worried about that because they're going to give you the best job, you know, that they can do. And I'm picking the best real estate. I'm not picking somebody who just got a license. I'm picking somebody who's experienced, and I'm going to show you how to ask the right questions to those folks that can do that for you. So can you see yourself? Can you see why this part-time is in your job? And let me start over. So can you see why this is part-time? You know, you basically, what your job is to do is approve the purchase price, approve the contractor bid, and approve the sales price for the contract that you get from the real estate agent, from the buyer, and that is to make decisions. I alluded to that earlier. Your job is to make decisions. You don't got to go out there paint, do carpet, dig ditches, change out plumbing faucets, make decisions, have other people do the things that, one, you don't even know how to do, and leave it up to the professionals, because they're taking liability for it anyway. They're licensed, covered, and bonded, and insured. Let them do all that work. So if you like what you hear and you want to get started, I sure can help you with that. Like I said, I will be conducting a 3-day live boot camp, okay, live training. I call it a boot camp because that's just, the old police department thing coming out of me. You're going through this training, you're going through a boot camp. The best things is when you come to for 3 days, you're going to be strictly focused, and that's going to be coming up February 22nd, 23rd, 24th, of intense information. And you're going to see the type of people that we work with, and that you're invited. What you're going to learn, all the steps of rehabbing, including finding deals, handling contractors, how to get top dollar, okay, where to get the money, how to fix it, how to estimate repairs, sell your house fast. Matter of fact, you can sell your house faster than you can fix it. I've had a couple of properties I've had this last year where we had people buying the house before we were even done with the house. Didn't have the countertop, didn't have landscaping, didn't even have a faucet. And these people coming in there signing and saying, hey, I want to buy your house right now. Take it off the market. I want it. Just hang on to it for me. I'll put money down right now. Just don't let nobody else get it, sir. And what price you want? No problem. I'll pay what you want. Just don't let somebody get it. When you get to that point in life where your work is being sought after, that is an amazing feat of what you've accomplished. And that's the kind of examples that we leave, and that's the kind of training that we give people. That's value, value, value. So that's why your houses will sell for top dollar, while the other houses in the neighborhood, the rinky-dinky houses that people kind of half did it or they did it themselves, they won't sell, but your house will. What you'll also learn is how to reduce your risk. That's the name of the game. See, I look at risk as bringing the pain home. Now remember that, folks. If you bring the pain home, what do you think your spouse gonna say? How are you gonna sleep at night? How you look at your kids when you risk everything with your family, putting your name, guaranteeing debt, putting your savings account, using your last nickel to do something that you should probably have not done. So don't have that kind of risk. So you want to reduce your risk. Now there is some risk, okay, but you want to take and do the least amount of risk. So you want to get your business on autopilot, like I'm on autopilot. I'm going to be gone for a week coming up, and guess what? My business is still going to function and work whether I'm here or not here. When I was gone all those times after, during New Year's and after New Year's, my business was still running. So I could show you how to put your business on autopilot. But guess what? You got to grind it out and do some work first. You got to put in work and get it built before you can take off and do it. So you can't just come in and say, well, I paid my tuition. Now, where's all the money? Where's all the deals? Let it come to me. No, 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 no. No, no, no. You got to do some work first. That means you got to get told no. Matter of fact, you got to get told hell no. Okay? What makes you think I want to sell you my house? Until you understand that you have to build your skill and work on your skill. If you work on your skill, then you can work on your tactics on how to use different strategies. So I'm going to teach you also how to deal with realtors. Realtors are some of my best allies that bring me deals when I'm not even looking for them, because they know who I am. And they know that I'm a serious person in the business. And they know that I'm not going to screw with their commission. They can trust me that I'm going to do the right thing. And you can avoid amateur mistakes. And amateur mistakes is sometimes, first of all, using your own money. That's an amateur mistake. Amateurs only use their money. I use OPM, other people's money. I don't even use any of my credit because I don't have no credit. I don't have anybody asking me about my credit. So avoid those mistakes, and I can show you how to do that. So you can make more money in the next 12 months than the last 10 years. What would that feel like? And there's a lot of people out there. Some on this call working 2 jobs, 3 jobs, 4 jobs, and sometimes it's it's tough. It's tough to make it out there. And imagine if you could work and make more in the next 12 months. Now, the way you're going to know how you're going to make it more than 12 months is, number one, you got to write your goal down. You got to write it down. You got to look at it every day, whether it's in your bathroom mirror, in your car when you're driving to from work, maybe in your purse or your wallet, maybe in your bedroom mirror. You need to write your goals down. Look at them every day. Maybe it sounds corny, but what they say, weird rich, normal poor. Don't be poor, be rich. Okay, so you got to be weird for a little while until you get to a point where you want to let it all hang out, and it don't matter at that point. You don't have to no care what somebody's going to think of you as long as you're doing it for your family. So now the key thing is we can only accept 50 students, and you have to act now because registrations have already opened up. Seats are filling up fast, and believe me, we were packed. We were full. We had to turn people away. Reason why is because the bus only holds 50 people. And I know we had more than 50 people. My first event, we had 125, and we couldn't get everybody in on my one day. And so they had to wait. Matter of fact, some of them signed up for this event because they couldn't get into the last event. Okay, so this is going to be the will be the 3 days of most life-changing days of your life. Okay, experienced industry professionals eagerly would pay up to $10,000. Hell, I paid myself 50 grand to somebody to teach me this type of stuff. And you know what? It paid off. It paid off. I've invested over $200,000 of my education, okay, to learn my craft. Rather, I was mentoring with somebody, learning a boot camp, and training on this and training on that. Now, I don't say that I gave all that money away. Believe me, I have a 7-figure business because I've invested that $250,000. Not all at one time. We're talking about over a period of 3 to 5 years. Now, sometimes I had to hide it from my wife, who knew about it after a year. But at the end of the day, when she started seeing that big old checks come in, it really didn't matter. She just said, don't do that again. So, you know, and that's what happens. You know, you can do things that I'm not saying you want to be deceitful to your spouse or anything like that, but I'm saying sometimes you got to make a decision. You got to make an intelligent adult decision about where you want to be. Do you want the last 3 to 5 years to look like, you know, the next 3 to 5 years to look like the last 3 to 5 years? And if the answer is no, you need to get on that bus. So the cost. No, it's not going to cost you $10,000. It's not going to cost you $7,000. It's not even going to cost you $5,000, which I've paid this kind of money many times at different trainings. But I've looked at it as not, it cost me anything. It was an investment in myself, what I was going to glean from it. So I gleaned a lot out of it. So it's only $24.97. And for people who are military veterans, that whether they're military reserves or active duty, or anybody who's a first responder, whether they're a police officer, firefighter, sheriff, deputy, paramedic, or emergency room doctor or nurse, those are my first responders. And we can get them in for $19.97. And what that's going to include is bringing in a spouse. So you bring your spouse for the same at no cost, or you bring in your child, you know, at no cost, or you can bring in your business partner. So if you have a business partner, whether it's a brother or a sister or a coworker, and you guys are real legitimate business partners, you can get in this program for $24.97. And if that person is a veteran, you can get in for that $19.97. So you'll also get 60 days of consulting with me. So 2 months of having access to hearing and answering me, consulting with you on what you need to do in your business. How do you set up your corporation? How do you set up your marketing letters? How do you make your phone calls? What do you say when you got a seller on the phone? Then the other thing is you get an unedited CD of this event. We're going to record the event, and you're going to get a copy of it as well. And also, it comes with a manual too, so we're going to have a 200-page manual. But I also have a new book that we just launched called Ask Me How I Know. And that's just, matter of fact, we're just getting it from the printers next week. And this is something that we're going to give away just for showing up to the event. Imagine that. You get a new book on all my experiences of what we do in this type of business and things that I've gone through in my experiences, my failures, my successes, mostly failures, because I've failed to succeed. Okay? And so you'll see why that the 4 biggest mistakes, house flipping mistakes, that's made me millions. Here's another unconditional guarantee. You may sit through, okay, lunch on the second day, and if you're not completely thrilled with the content, I'll give you a full refund, and you can leave. And matter of fact, you can even keep the workbook, and get a full refund, because that's how I know that you're going to learn so much from it. Especially when you get off that bus after the bus tour. There's going to be no way you're not going to want to stay for the third day and see what's up next, because it's going to be that good. So I'm a real estate investor first. You know, I don't make a living teaching and not doing, you know, and sometimes I think about it and it takes me a while. This is my second one. I don't know if I'm going to do it again. But, you know, I might. Right now, I've been real busy. I'm in demand, you know, traveling the country, speaking at other events and writing books and stuff like that. And I love, you know, rehabbing houses. So that business is taking me to a whole new level. We have, I think, 3 different companies within our company, and our company's growing, you know, so we're doing it. And the other thing is we have our joint venture partners. So we are looking for more partners to work with. But guess what, folks? It ain't free. To work with me ain't free. But guess what? You're going to get more out of working with me. If you work with me, imagine this. You want to ride along, you work with me, and I'm in your ear every single day, every single week, and I'm telling you exactly what to do, how to do it, where to do it, who to hire, who to fire, and you make $100,000 at the end of the deal. How exciting would that be? To make $100,000 on every deal that you do. Even if you made half that, what would that feel like? Every deal you did, you made 50 grand. Because I was in your ear. And I showed you all the tricks of the trade. I showed you the do's and don'ts. I showed you how to make yourself 10 feet tall and bulletproof. And that's what I do. And I'll show you how to do that. So when we reach 50 registrants, we'll have to shut it down, folks, because it's just, you know, that's the way it is. We only have 1 bus now. You know, I don't know. If I get way more, I may have to consider another bus. But right now, it's only one of me, folks. So I can't be on 2 buses. That's why I chose to have 1 bus, and it's easy to manage a small group of people. So here's my shameless plug, you know, my shameless bribe, and it's going to be like this. For today, on this call, at this event, okay, you're going to deduct $500 off the regular price of $24.97 to $19.97. And if you're a veteran or a first responder, you can deduct the $500 off that, and you'll be at $14.97. Okay? And that's what it boils down to, folks. So all you have to do is call that number, right? The 800 number, 950-9686. And you can receive your free gift, as I promised, through email in your inbox shortly, probably by tomorrow morning. If not tonight, we'll try to get it out to you as soon as possible. And get your rehab checklist, your project estimation repair form, the FSBO script. These are the tools. Those are the 3 things you need to either 1, talk to a seller, 2, estimate repairs, 3, have a checklist, because you would agree that airplane pilot has to, before he takes off, has to have a checklist, right? Now, if he decided he wanted to skip the checklist, would you fly with him? No. If that guy is not using the checklist that everybody else is using, we need to go find another plane or another pilot. So when you're rehabbing a house, use a checklist, use the estimate repairs, and use a FSBO script, because without a FSBO script, you're not going to know what to say or do to secure a deal. And we're going to show you how to do that. But you say, oh, man, come on. That is a lot of money. A lot of money. Really? Compared to what? I make over $100,000 on every deal, and easily will go over $1 million this year. And I was an LA cop. I mean, what is an LA cop working South Central LA, a D student, and a D plus because he was a nice kid? What's he know about the real estate business? What did I know? I didn't know diddly squat. But I surrounded myself with certain type of people, and I wasn't lucky because I had to seek these people out. And I, you know, wanted them to teach me what they knew. And it ain't easy because people talk a good game, but they don't deliver, you know, on what they say they're going to do. I knew I wanted to learn this. I was going to do exactly everything they told me to do. Because if they were going to move in, if I was going to have half they were going to have, if I could get half of what I thought they could have, then I was doing better than most. You know, maybe not as good as some, but better than most. So if the no risk tuition is more important to you than a new life, then I suggest you not register. And that's okay, folks. This is not for everybody. And, you know, at the end of the day, you know, this is a one time and not long. I had to make the same decision, but my tuition decision that was $5,000, that I had to pay. But I just figured that's what I had to do to get in the field, to get in the game, But I'm so glad I did. I didn't let that minimal cost, outweigh my common sense. And that's what you have to make a decision on, And so again, for only $19.97, remember, because he deducted $500 off, it's $19.97 or $14.97 for vets and first responders. And for this call only today, and what you're going to get, again, it's going to recap. We're going to get this 3-day live event, February 22nd, 23rd, 24th. It's going to be somewhere in LA. 2 months of personal consulting with me. You're going to get a CD of the event, a 200-page manual, and you're also going to get my great super duper new book that's come out. Ask Me How I Know, okay? And it's going to be a peach. All you got to do is call the 1-800 number, 800-950-9686, or go to the website www.rehabs2riches, right? rehabs2riches.com/get boot camp. I should have said get the bus, get on the bus, but hey, we'll just put get boot camp. So if you go to that website, you can go there and register, and it's been great. I'll leave that up there. If there's any questions, Erica, it's been great. I know we had a lot of people on the call. I know it's getting late, and I know you're out there on the East Coast. I appreciate you staying up so long with us, with our group of people out here in California.
Well, I'll tell you, I got up at 3:30 this morning for no reason, and your energy has kept me up tonight, no problem.
Awesome. I love it. I love it.
I don't see any questions yet, but we have several people still on the call, and I know in the last call we ended up saying like an hour late with the questions. So people may be tired. This is a little later than we did it, but let's just see. Do you folks have any questions? Oh, Edward Lamott says that this was an excellent presentation. Thank you, Edward.
Thank you.
Other questions? Any information? You must have really covered all of the bases, Alton.
Well, I try to be diligent with that.
You are thorough. I love how much you share. I love the positive stories, the success stories, and I love hearing how the mistakes you make, you can turn them into a success, or you can learn from them. But that's really what you're going to be going over when people go on the bus. And as I understand it, you've got several different properties you're going to show people, and they are at different stages of
Right.
Is that right?
That's correct. We initially show them on the first stage what it looks like before we acquire, right when you acquire it, and really nothing's been done to it, or very little work has been done to it. And then we take them to another stage where it's been, worked on a bit, maybe reframed or, regutted, or some things that have been touched up, or some drywall, but not quite finished yet. And then we take them to a stage where it's completed but not been staged yet. And then we take them to a place that's been completed, cleaned up, and staged and ready to be on the market. So that's where we take them to those 3 to 4 type properties. But we spend time because what we want to do is have each individual student walk through the property as if they're by themselves, and they're going through the repair estimate sheet, and they're checking this, and they're checking everything from outside, the roof, the walls, the windows, the landscape, to inside, the walls, the plumbing, the electrical, everything. And that way they get a good, fair understanding as to what it takes to do a proper repair estimation. And you're not going to get it the first time, but once you get to the second time and the third time, then you start honing your skills in, and you start understanding the repair estimate sheet. And actually, it's funny, we just revised our repair estimate sheet just recently this week. It's been a tough call because the market's changed, prices change, and so we've actually got a brand new repair estimate sheet we're going to send out to these folks too. So that's going to be a great thing.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
That's got to be worth the cost of admission for sure.
Right, because what happens is, here's the thing with the free gifts that they're getting from this call, Erica, is that I'm giving people things that they can go out today, tonight, tomorrow morning, and put to work. They'll have a script to be able to call a for sale by owner sign that they saw in an ad somewhere, and they'll be able to use that script on the seller, and that seller may say, yeah, I think I do want to sell you my house. When can we meet? Then you go there, meet, you walk through the property, you take your repair estimate sheet, you walk through that thing, you do a repair estimate, and then all of a sudden, wow, I can make an offer in this house because I know what the repairs would be. And then they're going to be in scramble mode because now they're going to need to know how to fill out a contract, and we'll show them how to fill out a contract. So hopefully they'll be able to do that, or they'll kind of reach out to us if they got a deal. They can give us a call and we can help them get through that process. We want to make sure they overcome their fear of being able to take action and being able to do the things they need to do so they can get a deal and close it and make money from it.
Excellent. Hey, I noticed that this is really a $5,000 seminar with the information that you're going to be giving, and I know you were going to offer it for 3,000, and that was going to be a steal. I just think it's incredible that you've been able to bring in under 2,000 for these people, and a couple people can join the weekend and just really learn from them.
Right. If someone goes to this event, I would definitely encourage them to bring their partner or bring their spouse or bring one of their kids, their adult kids, because two minds, working together, hearing the same information, you're going to jot down certain things where somebody else may miss something. So it's very important that if they bring a partner with them, that partner can hear something maybe they missed. And that's a great benefit to have when you're working on developing your business for the first time, or if you have an existing business and you're trying to refine it and you figure, well, what can I do to make my business grow better, faster, stronger? Then come to our event, see what we can do to help maybe plug up some holes with information that what we do, and you can see the type of successes and the properties that we do. And like I said, it's okay to copy me because I copied somebody else.
Okay. Well, listen, we are hitting the clock here at 10:25, and I just wanted to see. I don't see any other questions, but we do have the website up there, and just really looking forward to seeing you all out there in LA in a I guess about a month or so, month and a half, and so if you're looking for that, and if you have any questions later, you can certainly email Alton. Which email do you want them to email you at if they have any questions after the fact? Because you've just given them a lot of information, and I think that probably after they think about it for a little while, they may have some more questions.
Yeah, we have we actually have an email for that too. I should have wrote it down, but I didn't. But I'll give them the email, the rehabs2riches@gmail.com.
That makes sense. Rehabs
Yep.
to riches, just like you see it on the screen.
Right.
Rehabs with the number 2 riches@gmail.com is where you're going to email any questions. And it looks like a couple of people are starting to fade out. So I want to thank everyone for coming tonight. And Alton, that is just a wealth of knowledge. I know that even by listening to this, they are going to benefit from the information you've been able to share tonight. And it was very generous of you. But there is so much more. You have just hit the tip of the iceberg, as they say, which I'm not sure is an Altonism yet, but it is. It may be now.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I had another slide there. Oops.
Oh, it's okay. Well, yeah. So I want to thank everybody for coming. And do you have any last words?
No, I would encourage people to call the number 800-950-9686 or go to rehabs2riches.com/get the boot camp, and I promise you it will be an event to remember. I always tell people that life-changing decisions are made at big events, and I could tell you folks, had I not gone to a big event like something like this a few short years ago, I would definitely not be where I'm at today, and I would probably be out there in the rain, pushing the black and white, getting wet, directing traffic, and being miserable and complaining, being frustrated, and figure out how can I make more money and do it in less time. And if you're feeling that kind of way, then you're like me. If you're a school teacher, football coach, a police officer, firefighter, housewife, a student starting out, if you're an attorney, and now we've had attorneys come through our course. If you're a doctor, actually I have a couple of attorneys come through my courses and have been very successful in this business. And so if you're that kind of person that just want to be somebody, this is for you. And what's the worst can happen? If you do half of what I tell you to do, you'll have half of what I'm telling you going to have. So if you can do 100 grand, you can make 50 grand. You do 50 grand, you can make 100 grand. It's the same work, it's the same effort. So if you're a positive person, we want you there. If you're a negative, frustrated person, we definitely don't want you there. So if you're negative and frustrated, you can keep that and go somewhere else. But if you're positive and you want to be somebody and you want to share that with other people, come on, and we would love to have you. Thank you so much, Erica. It's been a fun night, fun event, and I look forward to talking with you again soon. I want you to be safe, enjoy your trip out there, and we'll have fun.
Thank you so much. I will look forward to talking to you on Saturday when we do all of this again. So if you have any friends that would be interested in this presentation and you really loved it, please invite them to our Saturday webinar. Look forward to seeing y'all soon.